I'm going to be doing a talk today. The talk is called Break It Down Now, and it is Birdie's journey through micro front ends. The Break It Down is a bit like a dance, and I thought, who better to give us a dance than this man himself? Look at him go. Developers. So my name is Steve Hayes, is how I like to be called. I don't know where the Stephen came from. I don't know if my mum sent a message in and said to call me that. But my name's Steve. I've been with Birdie for 2 years. Started as a senior software engineer and have just recently transferred into engineering management. I must admit, I'm not actually from London. I'm sorry. Well, I'm not sorry. I'm from Birmingham, and I'm very proud to be from Birmingham. All right. We've got more canals than Venice, so, you know, there's that. True fact. And I'm involved with the Brum.js community up there, and I'm also a co-founder of ManageOps, which is a meetup for engineering managers and technical leaders, where we talk about leadership, management, and tech, and the combination of those. If you're interested in that, come and find me afterwards. If you want to start the London version of it, let me know. If you get to the end of this talk and you're like, this guy seems all right, maybe I'll follow him on Twitter or some form of social. That is my, my name there. Good. So I work for Birdie. We've had a little introduction for that, so I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but to give you an idea, we've been going kind of 5-6 years, and we started with a small product, and then that's grown and grown and grown, which is fantastic. And we've got, 700 care agencies on our books at the moment, which is turns into about 35,000 care recipients that are visited every month, which is about 1.7 million care visits per month. So this isn't like a small application, is I guess what I'm trying to explain here. We've grown from a small one to a somewhat sizable application. But you're not really here to hear about Birdie, as great as we are, and I could fill the next 15 minutes talking about that. We're here to talk about micro front ends, and that is what we're going to do. So to get an idea, who works with micro front ends here? Yeah. Cool. And who works with microservices here? Yeah, a lot more people. Brilliant, that's really helpful to know. So, what is a micro front end? Well, to explain it, I'm going to do what maybe a lot of you do as well, and go to a certain Mr. Martin Fowler and find out what he says. For those that don't know, he runs a great website and blog that goes through loads of different stuff. And this is what he says. A micro front end is an architectural style where I'm standing in the way here. Oh, no, I'm not. It's not too bad. If I stand here, you can see the quote. Martin Fowler says, micro front ends is an architectural style where independently deliverable front-end applications are composed into a greater whole. So let's work backwards from that. The highlight is mine, that's not his. So let's start from the end and work our way back. So they are small applications, so small components that are a collection of components that are built into one executable application that have their own way of being delivered, and they are independent from each other, which means they do not necessarily interact or know what's going on in the other applications, which is a very important point. Or you can think about it like this. It's Lego for your front-end application. I liked that I found a bird-related Lego image. You do not know the joy that I had with that. But yeah, if you think of it like that, it's a kind of a pretty good idea of how to explain it. It's different blocks that connect together to make a whole. To give you an idea, that's quite an abstract way of explaining it. To give you an idea of what it looks like for us, this is a page from our main application. And as you can see here, we've got about 4 different applications that are happening. So we've got the main navigation at the top, with different tabs, clients, teams, etc., that kind of thing. That is its own application. We've got the side nav on the left, right here. Don't have a left and right, it's fine. Doesn't matter, it's there. You can see it and decide whether it's left or right for yourself. I've lost my train of thought with that, but it's fine, we'll get back to it. And then we've got our main feature in the middle. This is our care plan. Each of these is its own application. What does that mean? Think of it like this. It's its own code repo with its own testing suite and its own delivery pipeline. each completely separate and not dependent on the other one. We then have this application shell, which wraps everything together. That is the glue that we all know and love to make this happen. You might not know and love it. That's why you're here at this talk. I don't know why I said that. Let's keep going. I must apologise. I'm not feeling particularly very well, and my filter has dropped because of that. So we're just going to roll with it, see what happens. To do this, we use a tool called Single SPA, which is an open source tool. It's great. It's got loads of toolings that enable you to do this. And as you can see, well, you might be able to see a JavaScript router for micro front-end services. So what this does is it provides tools to say at this route, we want to display this application, this application, this application. So if I go back to this one, when we go to the care plan route, we know we want to display the main navigation, the side panel, and the main feature itself. If we go to the billing tab, we know that it's going to display whatever components. I don't build that part, so I don't know. And you might be thinking, that's great, that sounds all fantastic, but why would you do that? Why would you add that level of complexity? And here are 3 things that we found when I wrote these slides about 3 days ago, and the talk was like half an hour long, so I've cut it down just to this. I went into much more detail, but to give you a bit more, break it down for you. Break it down. That's the name of the talk. This is going great, and it's being recorded, which is fabulous. So the main reason we actually started looking at this was because our test suites were getting bigger and bigger and bigger. As I said at the start, we had a small application, and that grew and grew and grew. And we've got a really good testing culture at Birdie, where most pull requests won't get approved, won't get merged in without passing tests. Those tests are unit, integration, end-to-end, and we've got TypeScript for static, but that's not running them. Well, there's linting and stuff, but there's that there as well. And what we were finding is that these test suites were taking longer and longer to run. And we didn't want to lose confidence. The whole point of testing, right, is confidence. It's confidence that what we've just written does what it's supposed to do, and it's confidence that it doesn't break something else. So we wanted to keep that high level of confidence. We're working with people's personal data, their health records. It's really important that we have no bugs. Like, we're working with medical data and medicine, and you can imagine what could go wrong. So we're really keen on keeping that level of confidence. We also know it's really important to keep shipping fast and getting value in front of our customers, in front of our partners. And so this is why we actually started to look into the micro front-end thing in the first place. It's because we were like, how can we keep this level of confidence while also reducing the speed? And if you think about it, if we break out these applications into smaller applications, those test suites go with them. And that means that we're just running tests for that application. And it actually also increases our confidence because we have these completely separate applications. The code that I write in one micro front end isn't going to break the code in another one because they don't communicate with each other. So actually it was a way of increasing our confidence as well. Sounds good. Another thing we found is that we were able to introduce true team autonomy. We believe in autonomous teams. At Birdie, each team has the ability and is empowered to create their own roadmap, to work in the way that they work, and to use the tool that best fits the job. We have a microservices backend as well, and most of that is written in Node, and we've got like a golden path and all the stuff that we know how to use. But every now and again, for certain use cases, we use a different language because it fits the role of that. For example, we've got the billing. I keep coming back to billing. We've got the billing application which uses F#, which seems completely different, but actually for a certain part, which again, I don't actually work in it, and so I don't know why we did it, but there's an ADR for it, so it's fine. I can go and find out, which is what's important. Just remember this is being recorded and the billing team are going to kill me. Completely lost my train of thought. Yeah, so because you can do that, that's great. You use the right tool for the right job. We've just heard about Svelte. We're going to hear about web components later. We can start introducing those. Whoever asked that question about how do you migrate for this? This is the answer. You can start breaking it down and introduce a Svelte application or an Angular application or whatever. Now, with great power comes great responsibility. Just because you can do that doesn't mean you should do that because of load times, etc., etc., etc. But finally, we're actually able to give true team autonomy. And finally, we had better developer experience. The developer experience for the single-page application that we had, it wasn't that bad. It was fine. We were able to get by. Apart from the testing suite, it was all fine. But using the tool like single SPA, the tooling for that actually made it a really enjoyable experience. We were able to download a repo of an application, get it spun up. Using the tooling for single SPA, we could actually plug it into our staging environment, and within minutes you were able to develop, and it was beautiful and lovely. It was great. However, there was some challenges. It wasn't all smooth sailing, and these are the two of the biggest challenges we found. As we started to break out our big monolithic SPA into smaller applications, we realized that the single responsibility was not adhered to throughout the whole thing. We're a startup. We're trying to find product market fit. We've got a high level of, we care about quality and we've got a high value for that. We're also pragmatic, and sometimes you just need to cut a little corner to make something happen. We've all done it. We've all done it. And so we realized that while we had these great modules that were all separated out, every now and again we were like, oh yeah, we'll just pull that bit from there, and we'll just pull that bit from there. Oh, we'll just pull that, they'll never know. And then we found out. And so while that was a challenge, it wasn't unsurmountable, but it was a bit of a faff, right? The bigger challenge, which is Redux. We used Redux. Yeah, everyone's like, yeah, I know that challenge. Redux is a challenge in itself, but that's a whole other talk. And it was great when it was needed, but I don't think it's needed anymore. Hot take. Yeah, and so we had a global store, and because each application was completely independent, talking between the stores didn't quite work. And so we had to rip that out as well. An example of that is we had an action that you could fire off for an error message, and then Redux would do its thing, and a little toaster would pop up in the bottom corner and give you your error. Beautiful, lovely. However, that doesn't work when you can't call the store because you're a completely separate independent application. And you might be using a technology that actually can't plug into Redux very well. And so we had to rewrite that. And we ended up using standard browser events, and it all worked lovely, use the platform and all that stuff. But it was a challenge, and we had to overcome that. It took time. All of that to say, as with all things in engineering, it's all about trade-offs. And I'm not here tonight to tell you that you should use micro front-ends. It might not fit what you need to do. You need to maybe take away some of the thoughts from tonight, speak to your team, think about the trade-offs. We found that despite there being this weird coupling thing, despite the issues of Redux, that the benefits of better developer experience, I'm just testing myself without the slides here to remember the three, better developer experience, better team autonomy, and the other one, faster testing, that was a better trade-off for us, and that's why we chose it. And it's working all right for us. Is it perfect? Not really. Is anything perfect? No. So it's working really well for us at the moment. I thought that was fair, but everyone else in the Birdie team is just laughing. But I really like it. I was part of the team that started this. We had an engineering sprint, improvement sprint, and within 2 weeks we broke up part of the application to test it. So with using tools like Single SPA, you are able to make some headway fairly quickly, and it's a really enjoyable experience. So yeah, have a think about it, check it out. I hope that you found that helpful, hope you found that insightful. I hope you've gone away being like, oh, I get this now. Maybe I'll look into it. Either way, thank you very much for listening. Any questions?
Well, maybe a few questions. I'm going to go to the back and see we always come to the front.
Thank you. I agree with you about Redux. Devotees hate Redux. My question relates to the front end. If you have all these separate repos, have you faced challenges with consistent front end styling? Do you use like a component library, for example, that's like core to all these? Do you mind just speaking on that?
Yeah, sure. I'll wait for the mic. Yes. We have a design system, in-house design system, which we have as a global part of the application. So the beautiful thing about the application shell is that you can load stuff into it, and actually you're able to use stuff from there. So there's like CSS variables that we can put into the agency shell and then use throughout the rest of these applications. There's things like intercom and various analytics things that you can put in there and use the rest of them. So we do. I think we currently include each of the design system in each of the applications. And tree shaking helps with that to keep the size down. We're looking at ways that we can even minimize that, and we're moving towards a fully only CSS only design system so that we can just stick that in the agency shell or the application shell, and then that can be, those CSS classes are then available throughout the rest of the application. That's what we're thinking, and we're going to try.
One more question over here. That's very quick.
I was just noticing your feature micro app has got a lot in it. Do you have a nest? Do you have
Micro.
Yeah.
It's a great question. You can do that, and we have experimented with that, but it can just start getting into like pain quite quickly. And so that side navigation that I showed in that picture, we used to have that as something that was its own that you embedded in each of the front ends to use that. We actually found it was easier and loaded better and was a better experience bringing that out. And with single SPA, you can do that really easily. You basically write pseudo HTML or some form of markup for each route and say, I want this there or this here, and you can put some form of styling around that as well. So you can like grid it out quite easily. And that's worked for us. Yeah, go for it.
Hello, thanks. Quick comment, not sure if you noticed on your shipping item on the thing there, you have the Titanic, which is maybe not the best ship to use. So my question was, how do the apps communicate with each other? Is it a bit like extension development, where it's like messaging or something like that, or is it something else?
That's a really good comment. I did notice it was the Titanic. I didn't think anyone else would notice. But it's fine. It's all fine. Do they communicate with each other? So no and yes. I guess the idea is that they try not to. We load any data that we need for that application within the application itself. And so we don't transfer data around. It kind of starts to defeat the point of a micro front end if you're passing data around. Theoretically, you could probably do something with props and you could probably do something clever there, but it's starting to bend the rules of micro front ends, at least how we understand it and how we use it. We use React Query quite a lot now, or TanStack Query or whatever they've changed it to, and we're looking at using a shared caching for that somehow, so that if we call an API, we can just get that data from the shared cache. But we're playing with that. We don't quite know how that's going to work yet. But yeah, so the short answer is we try not to do that because it just makes it a lot simpler. So you maybe have to call the API a couple more times, but we haven't found a huge performance hit on that.
Sure, thanks.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you very much.